right. What's up, everybody? It is 1:37 a.m. in the morning, and I'm doing this Facebook Live. Been out for 2 days because randomly on, when was it? 2 days ago, I had my body just got tired. I think it's due to the daylight savings, and few people were saying that their bodies were feeling sore. I got a headache, and I had slept pretty much the entire day, and I haven't done that in a long, long time. Um, Guess I was an idiot. If you're wondering what the strap is as well, it's actually more for my posture. I'm not holding any of these, bam bam. Uh, so that's why I got this on. Saw it on Instagram, thought I'd buy it. Why not? Test it out. But I thought I'd give you an update on what's been happening over the past couple days. Uh, well, a big one. I'm a huge fan of UFC, so Conor McGregor and the Khabib fight. I'm a huge fan of Conor McGregor, so I was pretty upset that he tapped out. But then again, I wasn't surprised either. In his press conference, I could see that he was doubling up on some of his words. Usually, he's very fast, outspoken, and confident in what he has to say. But this time around, I think he did have some doubt, and that's enough, right? But onwards with the updates. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so for the business of Faiā itself, have been replying to a few accounting firms in Singapore. For those of you who are new to these daily Faiā updates, I'm just documenting my journey as I build out this company called Faiā. And at the moment, we are focused on igniting blockchain communities. So, blockchain enterprises, we're helping out with, or at least niching in the community management and engagement aspect. So, the people side for the blockchain space. Not a lot of folks are doing this at the moment. And I'll show you actually a few posts that sort of confirm this and things that I've been analyzing myself over the last couple years, and even more so over the last year, as especially, more ICOs are being launched, and more coins are being created. So I definitely want to be on the lookout for, because even in my line of work, which I was doing community management for businesses from startups to corporate, a lot of them, whenever they have technology issues, it's almost 20% of the technology that's actually the issue, 80% people problems. So I see the same thing being applied to the blockchain space. So while everybody's looking at all the tech, we're going to be looking at the people side. So FutureBooks is just I believe they are a startup focused accounting firm, recommended to me by one of my startup friends. They seem to have pretty good reviews. Been checking them out, and let's see if we hear back from them. In terms of day-to-day reading, this was one of my readings for the day. Trust in Smart Contracts by Dr. Craig S. Wright. Definitely worth checking out. If you're not familiar with Craig Wright is a notorious public figure in the Bitcoin cryptocurrency space. However, he is probably the most consistent in terms of putting out content that definitely shows that he knows quite a few things. And he keeps his cards very close to his chest, so he doesn't always reveal everything to everyone. But for the things that he does choose to reveal at his own time, it's always worth reading, absorbing, and helping you to make decisions for yourself. That's one of the biggest things about Craig Wright that I really appreciate, regardless of how the general public sees him. I'm always careful of judging people from afar, especially if I've never met them myself, because we all like to think we are psychics or have the great ability to deduce the totality of a person, through the internet. As to how people still believe that they can do that, I don't know. But this is definitely a document or an article worth reading if you are interested in getting into the blockchain space, or even if you're already involved in it. Smart contracts and tokenization, it's an area that you'll definitely need to be paying attention to when it comes to this next evolution of the internet and money itself. This right here, and sorry, I'm just gonna check to ensure that everything is firing all right with our eCam. Beautiful, yes it is. And yeah, here. So this is an event because I will be moving to Singapore in the not too distant future. This is an event that I'll probably be attending as well, Asia Blockchain Week. A great way to just dive straight into the Asian ecosystem when it comes to cryptocurrencies and blockchain. My question though is, out of the two here, I want to say the startup or the investor route, which one of these tickets do you think I should go for? I'm actually leaning towards the investor one only because of these two bits here. What I've learned from my years of networking is that you pay a little bit more to get access to those VIP seats and circles, and it definitely pays for itself because the types of people that you meet are usually influencers in their own spaces or circles, and that just gets you into other areas incredibly fast. Of course, if you are okay talking to people as well yourself. All right. Next up. So yeah, as we were talking about, people in tech side, right? This was posted yesterday by a guy that I follow he seems to do a pretty good job of staying neutral within the crypto blockchain space, and his tweets get decent amount of engagement. So you see here, too many people in crypto are focused on building cool technology and not enough people are focused on user acquisition. The user acquisition right here is what I refer to the people side, all right? How do you appeal to the masses? How do you appeal to the average person? Because if we are looking at money itself in the crypto space, we are looking at, the average Joe or the average Jane. And that's something that really needs to be looked at, right? And this is where the community management and engagement stuff comes in. Because if you look at the strongest cryptocurrencies, they usually have very strong communities attached to them. Strong vision, strong communities, strong business. Okay, and yeah, you can see a lot of comments about this, right? For better or for worse. This is our Instagram page that we just set up. Our team are focused on foundations for most of 2018. So we've been testing a few things on Instagram to see what will work, what style, etc. We're going down the right route now of a page similar to Discord app. All right, so here Discord app, you can see that it has posts. It's not stylish or anything like any Instagram models that you might be familiar with, but it's more about the team, the culture, the events that they go to. We're looking to develop something similar to that, to really showcase our own people and our own people development as well, right? So that's kind of the style that we're looking to go for. Next up, also have Wonder. So this is actually an article that, sorry, not an article, this is a site that one of our Packsters, so also have this group called the Pack, which is like an accountability group, for consultants, solopreneurs, other folks who are looking to grow their own business. It's something I've been running for the last couple years, and they're all just very, very consistent. And every week we have these Pack hangouts and usually share things that we find that could be useful for the group. And this is where actually a lot of the experimentation around community management stuff comes, and it's just my passion for community stuff. So yeah, here, this site, I think it's pretty cool. Essentially what they do is they crowdsource research analysts. So if there is something that you want to do a research paper on, I believe you submit what you're looking for here, and then you get access to all of these analysts from all these companies, like high quality analysts. This is crazy. And I believe they have their own proprietary system in terms of getting, your research out. So I think I'm going to be using them at least once over the next couple weeks just to try them out. But it's worth taking a look at yourself if you are involved in a knowledge-based industry or company, which should be most. And sorry, when I say most, I'm talking about like if you're involved in tech, you're gonna be involved in knowledge economy. Here, SEMRush is another really good platform. I think I might have mentioned them before, and they're good at looking at just sort of SEO stats for certain keywords. So if there's a niche that you're wanting to get involved in, so let's say I put blockchain there first, and I was actually looking for blockchain keywords in Singapore. I want to put blockchain community. All right, so here you can see that there's very little for Singapore, though not enough data. Might be the same for the US. Hey, you got something for the US. But yeah, you get the idea, right? Blockchain and community on their own, probably going to get a lot better search results. So I'm just going to go back to Singapore so you can see. All right. So yeah, there's definitely an increasing trend for blockchain conversation search in Singapore, and I expect that to go up even more so over the next decade and then some. And I'm sure we'll see even more related keywords and new technologies come out. Blockchain is also being referred to as distributed ledger technology, DLT, one to keep in mind. I was in a Telegram group earlier today, and somebody shared this article from Andreas Antonopoulos, who's a very well-known Bitcoin public figure as well, speaker. And this particular video is on decentralization and the architecture of trust. He is a BTC supporter, Bitcoin supporter. He's been a long time Bitcoin supporter. And, got to hand it to him. He's done a lot for the Bitcoin space. So it's still worth checking out. I'm actually a Bitcoin Cash supporter, but I'm always open to hearing about how others are doing things and learning from everybody, because I believe there's truth and wisdom everywhere to be gleaned. You just have to know how to filter. All right. This. If you are looking to engage a community, you need to learn pretty much sales, influence, etc., and content, and how to generate content that will engage folks. Gary Vee is one of the most well-known social media influencers, online entrepreneurs, who does content like crazy. He is definitely the influence for a lot of other online influencers. And so this particular article is really good for getting insights into his content strategy. All right. And I've taken a look at this and I've applied it to my own stuff, or will be applying it to my own stuff in the near future. Other news, all right. So first major Bitcoin Cash ICO raises $30 million. This is by Faiā BTC. Look, Faiā BTC, they do have a great, incredible network to leverage off to be able to get that $30 million in record time. But this is also a good way to look at how ICO launches take place, what needs to go into it before you even start the launch. Trying to, reverse engineer. It's really good just to take a look at some of the success stories and know also that it's not always easy to launch an ICO, let alone keep it going and keeping a community engaged after you've launched it. Because what we found as well over time is that a lot of ICOs, a lot of ICO companies, as soon as they got their money, they just vanished, left their communities for dead, and that was it. Some of them literally just ran off with the money and didn't update any of their users, which is just nuts. Uh, Facebook. Look, if we're going to be talking about community, Facebook is definitely important to watch the moves that they're making, because anything they do with their technology, their tools, their platform affects a lot of users around the world. All right, especially from a behavioral standpoint. I mean, even today it was funny. One of my aunties was getting a little bit upset with her daughter because she did not love her post that she published. She only liked it. I mean, it's ridiculous when you think about it. So yeah, Facebook recently launched a community leadership program, which is, as you can see here, an initiative that will provide more than $10 million in funding to communities. And the ads on this site are just ridiculous. And yeah, this is just to show how Facebook are putting more effort towards their community efforts, right? Because they've changed their mission statement to help provide more meaningful connections, to help support community. Don't quote me on that, but I know it's moved from just connecting people to create more meaningful connections. Because this is something that a lot of people who are involved with people, especially in business, know that technology alone cannot solve the world's problems. All right, unless we replace all of us with robots and just let them do everything and we get out of the way, as long as we are involved, there's going to be some sort of fuck up somewhere. It's just inevitable. This was another tweet. This one here was about, it was interesting to see actually how Y Combinator, well-known accelerator in the US, and how when they're evaluating startup founders, they now realize that it isn't just about looking at where somebody has worked. So if they've worked at Facebook, Google, Amazon, whatever, like that's great, but it doesn't necessarily make them great founders. What's more important actually is what sort of side hustles have they kept as they've been employed, and what sort of things have they experimented with. And they also found that people who had more varied jobs actually made for greater entrepreneurs, right? Because it's true, right? You look at, it's just the thing of like being an employee versus an entrepreneur, right? The entrepreneur naturally will be okay in an uncertain environment where there's a lot of variety, right? Whereas others who thrive in a structured environment, structure isn't bad, but when there's a structured environment, it lends itself to a certain type of person too, all right? And sorry if you can hear anything, that's just my little nephew, so apologies for that. All right, so here, this particular thread actually is really interesting because it's based off of the author for a book called AI Superpowers, China, Silicon Valley, and the New World Order. And I remember seeing this on Amazon a while back, and I aim to get it and have a read. But the thread actually, takes notes off of, I think, an interview that was had with him, which is just awesome. And yeah, it just goes into like what AI is going to be doing for a lot of us. And I think in particular, there was, what can AI not do? Creativity, common sense, thinking, invention. And I want to just open this up so you can see. Let's see this again. At number 2, empathetic jobs that require human interaction, right? The people side. So this is also another reason why I'm betting big on the direction and the niche that we're going with for our business by looking at the people side of the blockchain space, because in technology in general, over time, if a lot of things get automated, and I don't think it's going to be fully like that. It's kind of like a doomsday sort of vision. I think they're just going to be new types of jobs, but I do believe that anything to do with creativity, empathy, etc., like those are going to be the type of businesses that thrive, things to do with society, social, etc. The masses seek stability. So yeah, CoinDesk, there was an article that went out that said Japanese IT giant GMO is jumping on the stablecoin bandwagon to plan a yen-pegged cryptocurrency in 2019. The problem, the reason why this is an issue is because I think it was Venezuela that did this recently with the Petrocoin, and they tried to peg their cryptocurrency to oil, which in and of itself is defeats the whole point of cryptocurrencies and the OG Bitcoin, because the idea there is that, and this is from my understanding, having observed this space since about 2013, is that cryptocurrency, one, is meant to replace fiat, and it's meant to be a single global currency, decentralized, immutable, all those properties that come with it. And by having a single global currency, it is not tied to any one nation. All right, it has a life of its own. It's like the internet is just global, and it does its thing. All right, and this is where some of the indirect threat lies. But I do believe, in order for any of this to be legitimized, it does need to sort of work with some of the current systems, but parts of the current system are definitely going to be disrupted as a result. But stability is definitely something that we require for any of this to get mass adoption. Because this goes back to a quote I remember one time. Explorers and innovators expand the world while the world is built for settlers. So I think what that meant was, you'll have a lot of all these pioneers go out, they help push humanity forward, but everything that sort of happens after that is built for the settlers, for the people who come and just plunk themselves down, right? So that brings its own unique set of rules, its own unique ways of thinking, etc. And so you can see already now, right? Because of the high volatility of cryptocurrencies, people are trying to solve this problem of instability. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next couple years. And I'm kind of looking at 2020 in that regard. This is more just for fun. I was actually reading in the book Small Giants by Malcolm Gladwell. Oh, no, sorry, not Small Giants. David and Goliath. About how sometimes an experiment was done whereby if you're trying to memorize something, if the font of what you're trying to memorize or the words are actually harder to read or process, it makes it better for you to remember. So somebody then went out and created a font to do exactly that for all your notes. I believe it was done at RMIT. So you can see here in the font, cuts things up, makes it harder, but then you're going to remember it better. And then finally, thought for the day. So this is one for you guys as well. Communities eventually become individual entities with their own identifiable characteristics. Now, what I meant from that was that, of course, communities are groups of individuals, but just like a business legally is actually seen or treated by law as an individual, communities themselves end up taking their own characteristics, right? When you speak about, cultures, say, the Fijian community, I'm originally from Fiji, the Fijian community, if you are in the Polynesian circles, you'll have an idea already of what that community will be like, right? The types of clothes they wear, the songs they'll sing. Now, not all of them will be like that, but there is a single characteristic that is usually put around that community if the culture is strong enough. And with that, you can kind of already see this take place with different cryptocurrency communities. They will have their own identifiable characteristics. That goes for Bitcoin BTC, that goes for Bitcoin BCH, that goes for Ripple, Ethereum, etc. All right. You can see here, Phil Wilson, also known as Granty, other way around, individual entities, saying the same thing. Individual entities eventually become communities with their own identifiable characteristics. Yeah, we're saying the same thing. And I put this up a lot because I tend not to go to extremes. I'll recognize the extremes, but I always know to always come back to the center or to find the center in all conflict or debates. Because my personal belief is that there's yin and yang. So, and even in the things that we think are maybe the enemies, there's a bit of them in us, and vice versa. So with that, hope you appreciate the thought for the day and the updates, and I'll see you for the next round of Daily Faiā. And remember, through patience and persistence, it will come.